when you see a headline, chaos, DNC scrambles to nominate Biden, maybe we just need to reset.
People might remember the story that it was. I thought Ohio was going to just fix it. Now
some sort of amendment.
Right. So the DNC scheduled the convention too late. Was that what the process was?
Too late to get on the ballot.
To get on the ballot under the law in Ohio, because I think their convention is not until post-mid August, so a month after the Republican convention. That's in July, and so they were going to have a workaround at the state legislature that deadlocked. Yeah. So now they're doing a virtual nomination.
Yeah, Alabama cleared it up. They made it work, and they're like, we don't have to do all this.
There were a couple of other states that same thing happened, right?
Yeah.
And there was it?
The DNC is August 19th.
How many states was it? Was it just two? Was it? Yeah.
It was just Alabama and Ohio.
Yeah.
So Ohio could have just figured out a way, but instead now they're doing it virtually because DNC, the convention, is scheduled for August 19th, and Ohio needed to be certified to be on the ballot by August 9th. So 10 days too late.
So they're going to do a virtual nomination, which means what you see on the floor that night before he speaks, that they nominate.
It's just a show.
That'll be just for show. And now listen,
it's already 99% for show.
Yes, I mean I will say that on the Republican side, you always this was with Trump too. There were real protest moves.
Yeah, there were people trying to make sure or try to get people to not do it.
Yes.
There was even celebrities putting out videos saying you don't have to do this.
Right.
Or even Ted Cruz at the time, vote your conscience. There was people talking. That may have been to the American people. I can't remember.
Ken Cuccinelli initially was on the floor of the Republican convention and for Virginia and trying. So there could be some drama. It was very short-lived, and honestly, most people don't pay attention to that. They pay attention to the major speech by the candidate. But what I think we're going to is that time period where, yes, they've said that yes to these debates. I think that's more interesting to people probably than these conventions anyways, because that was going to be all we were really going to get before was like the convention speeches and then like political rallies.
Yeah.
Now that we have some debates scheduled, now both of us said, do they actually happen?
I mean, we're under a month now, so you'd assume production's got to start happening right now. If they're going to do, well, now we know famously President Trump doesn't really prep hardcore for these debates. He feels like, I mean, at least historically, I mean, he's talked about that. He's not sitting there and doing tons of mock debates. He knows kind of what he says, and he goes in there and does it. Traditionally, you would have a lot of that prep going into such a major event. And look, the networks want it to happen. This will be one of their highest rated, CNN's highest rated show probably in a couple of years. If not ever.
Yeah.
I mean, just real. It will pop a huge number. So they want it to happen. I hope it happens. Again, I watched a RFK interview last night because he's saying now they're throwing more requirements at him to try to get on the debate stage. He was on Cuomo last night discussing it. And really, they're clearly trying. Both Trump and Biden don't want him clearly to be in that debate. And they are figuring out ways for him not to be. And I think he probably won't be. I think that will likely be the scenario, but it makes it creative. It makes it interesting. I'm curious how it's presented. They said no audience. That's one of the things I think people are a little bummed out about. So you won't have that sort of raucous, live event feel. It will have almost a vice presidential debate feel. I wonder if they'll be seated. I wonder how that'll be handled.
These are two guys that love just throwing out phrases.
Yeah, and some wild stuff.
Yeah, and Joe Biden will make claims that are. You kind of have to be on your toes because and be thinking right when he's saying it, because he'll say things that he did, and it doesn't even add up to how old he is.
Yeah. Hey, give us a call. I would love to hear from you.
He's marched with people he's not even old enough to march with.
Oh yeah. He makes
things
up
like
a lot of stories.
So you got to kind of, if you're debating him, you don't want to let him get away with too much of that kind of. And I think that what President
do they allow them in like commercial breaks to be like, hey? Like, do you have like a ring, like a coach on the side? Like, do you have a guy in the corner?
Not usually. Usually it's just they're standing there.
Yeah, I was just curious about that. Like when they go to breaks, since there's not like a corner man who comes up and be like, hit him with this.
All. There could be people that do makeup from like the
yeah. Sometimes you see people go on stage. Yeah, but they're not debate. They're not like someone involved in the campaign.
All of that would be decided. Yeah. So you could actually negotiate that out. Maybe they did this time.
That'd be kind of cool to be like you could live call them out on it.
You do have that going on like social media now.
Yeah,
you always have live. The war rooms are going live.
Yeah, the Pinocchios are going.
Right. Now, here's an interesting poll Fox is running right now. If Trump is found guilty, are you more likely to vote for him? Less likely? Makes no difference. Makes no difference was 76%. Less likely was only like 16%. I mean, but was that just asking everybody?
Because I feel like
was that just asking Republicans?
We can probably pull it up and find out the exact number. Find that out. Because I think what that thought's saying is, does this affect the way you're going to vote? And most people have already decided how they're going to vote.
Right.
You have a very small percentage. I was talking to my son about this last night. He's like, what's like a landslide look like? Does that ever happen? Does anyone ever win every state? Does that ever happen? We go back to the Reagan era of 49 out of 50. I was like, not really in our most recent life. That a win, I told him, a landslide win is 55, 56%. It's very rare. I mean, what was Obama years? Obama years probably the closest to what you consider a landslide.
Easy election night.
Yeah, and it was still under 60%.
Yeah, I mean, remember, Bush and Kerry was supposed to be close, and John Kerry wouldn't concede that night. Remember with John,
but it was still 55 plus. Yeah,
it was done. It wasn't even close.
People forget about all that too. They forget about that they didn't concede, or that they called for
Stacey Abrams has never conceded.
Yeah, or the Hillary putting out the don't certify the election. All of her cronies. People think that for some reason Donald Trump has become the person who is the only one.
He created all of these
talking points of don't certify, don't vote. It's like we go back to Bush, Gore. You go back to any of this. It is happening for most of our adult life. Every election. Other than maybe you could say that second Obama, the Romney Obama, where it was just, I mean, it wasn't a landslide by any means. Romney polled very good numbers, but it was clear he was not going to win. And there was no controversy surrounding it. Other than that one, there's pretty much been some sort of controversy every time.
I feel like that one was going like.
Yeah, I mean, Obama, McCain also. I think both the Obama years,
you do.
It was over.
Definitely with McCain. And then you had a little bump with Sarah Palin got in because some activists got a little more excited. But you didn't think that could actually probably take you over the where you need to go. And then, yes, with Mitt too, which people forget a lot. But they weren't blowouts in the traditional sense.
No, that doesn't exist anymore. So if you say 76%, you said, Will, is that where the poll came from?
Yeah, I'm looking for what the methodology was.
All right, yeah, that poll came from NPR, PBS NewsHour. I thought it said in Marxist, and the Marxist it came from. So from Marist, it was maybe you could lump those three together. You could say NPR and PBS NewsHour and the Marxist all took a poll, and they said 76%.
Are they still getting our funding? NPR?
PBS and those are NPR are not as federally funded as you think they are. They are federally funded, but a lot of them are just people giving donations. We are also, like I said, probably less than now. We were 57 new champions away from our goal. We're at 50. 50. That means 7 of you, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but understand that's 7 more people who just said we're going to give monthly to the ACLJ and support the work on a regular, recurring. Now, obviously, you can cancel at any time, but become an ACLJ champion. Help us get to our goal for this month. We only got a day left this month. We really could use your support, as you heard, because, again, the ACLJ is there for you whenever you need it, absolutely no cost.